So at this point, we're like 25 minutes after we're supposed to start. Do we have an over-under when we think Mental will show up?
He said don't wait for him, so yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Anytime
my volume's
now.
down.
Anytime now. We can start the show anytime.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yay.
All right, start again. Welcome to Everyone Racers, a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. It doesn't matter what kind of Lemma Champ or Lucky Track Dog League you run, SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussion, tips, tricks, news and notes in the world of amateur endurance racing, and whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, we're lucky enough and Chrissy gives us just a tip. We're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mental.
And there is no Mental. Wah, wah.
Not right now, anyway.
Yeah, he might show up. And we are Everyone Racers. Thanks for coming back in and listening to another Mahjong episode of our podcast. It is episode 144, the number of tiles in a Mahjong set.
Okay.
So you learned something today. That's probably all you're going to learn.
When's the last time you played Mahjong?
Okay, so here is my extensive knowledge of Mahjong.
Okay.
My father's best friend from high school, his name is Warner, and he was in the Marines. We visited him in many countries and things when he was when we were young.
Yes.
And when we visited him in China, or excuse me, in Hawaii, his wife, who was a Chinese national, had a Mahjong crew that played together, and she bought a car with her winnings.
Wow.
From her friends. She's not going to a casino.
She's just
she
racking
got enough
in
money out of her
money.
friends that she bought her car. Yeah.
Okay, so you're a pro Mahjong player.
I know nothing about it. I watched them play. Speaking of playing, if you'd rather not lose any money, but lose some time and be interesting, why not check out our E1R bingo card, which is a link in the show notes. You can play along with us.
It'll be fun.
There's no square that says, "Where's Mental?"
No, because he's usually here. It's usually one of us that aren't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll pull it up now.
Wow.
I always forget. The reminder in here is mostly just for me to remember to pull the bingo card up.
I never pull it out. I'm doing too many things. I can barely get the wires
pull it
to
out?
work.
Good.
During the show, I never pull it out.
Good. I appreciate that.
Right.
Well, Chris, change the topic. What are you working on?
What are you
Big
working
surprise.
on?
Working on the boat.
Da-da-da!
New. Yeah.
Something new.
But making not just sanding this time. I went and got some marine plywood, and big surprise, there's no good supplier of marine plywood in the Philadelphia area. Who knew? Like when I lived in Cape Cod, you can get it at Home Depot. That was great. Here, not so much. Anyway, got a couple pieces of marine plywood, and I made a deck extension lounge area to fit between the bow and like the anchor locker area and the console of the boat. So it'll all be one flat deck from the bow all the way to the console with storage underneath. And it's removable. And it's all 1-inch marine ply with an epoxy coating. And I'm putting some teak decking on it too. So it'll look nice and it'll give us a nice place to sit and social distance.
Is it slatted or vented in any way?
No, it is not.
No, it's a solid piece.
Very, very solid.
So when the water comes in,
it goes right over the top of it.
And where will it go?
Onto the floor. But like it would have gone on the floor otherwise. Like, you know, you've been in the boat. Like it comes over the top and it goes like over the flat deck where the anchor locker is, and then it would have dumped down. Now it just goes 32 inches further and dumps down.
Okay. Because when it gets to the back near the cockpit steering wheel area, it can still get to the bottom of the boat, which is pumps and all those things.
Yes. The main reason we have it is so we can lay on it, because we like to be able to not have to go to the beach and just dock and throw the anchor. But our legs didn't have anywhere to go when you try to lay there. So this is what's going to fix it.
And being a Boston whaler, it doesn't have like a bilge area like a lot
Yeah.
of boats, or an underfloor area. It's just one kind of big piece.
Surfboard with sides.
Kind of, yeah. And it just goes down to if the water comes in, which happens very, very rarely, I have to say. Only when you're dumb in big waves and following sea and you punch the nose through something. But it's happened to me like 3 times ever, even including being a teenager. So that's lots of dumbness. So anyway, that's easy. Made a new console floor and supports for the console floor because that was all rotted and had been the subject of a number of field expedient repairs over the years. Started prep work on the teak decking that's going to replace the non-skid. And did epoxy coating on every piece of wood, so it's all going to be sealed up nicely for the elements. And did some epoxy repair to the embedded wood in the console feet because that was starting to rot a little bit. And then actually worked on the trailer a little bit on Friday night. Chrissy was
The race car trailer, not the boat
the
trailer.
race car trailer. No, the boat trailer is brand new, but the race car trailer, I put in a whole bunch of E-track and a bottle opener and a paper towel holder. It's
All
exciting.
very important.
Absolutely. So I ran out of screws for the E-track, but I got those now, so I can put the last 2 pieces of E-track up, and the E-track will all be done. So that's fun.
What kind of screws are you doing?
Longer than yours.
Well, yeah, I know that.
Number 12 1-inch.
Number 12 1-inch. I mean, but are they like self-tapping hex, or did you get like a funny shaped head that would make it flush?
Self-tapping hex. It's so easy and works so well. Yeah.
Yeah.
That way.
My 3/4 self-tapping hex didn't work so well.
And this is a little thicker than yours too.
Yeah.
Just a little. Yeah.
Chrissy, what are you doing?
Well, Chris did not mention on Saturday we went on a car rally. So we took the NS.
For you.
Oh, thanks. So on Saturday we went up to I met a couple of cars on the side of the highway in Allentown. The rest stop there, and then we went from there to Scranton. There is a rally that is put on by the Drexel University Women 100 group. This was supposed to happen this past weekend. It was supposed to be Friday and Saturday. It would have started at somewhere between Drexel downtown in Philly to the Kimmel. And it was supposed to be a party that was supposed to head us off. We were supposed to drive to Scranton, have a party there, and then head to Seneca Falls. So this is all in celebration of the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, that women can vote. We can vote. So big deal. And it was actually really, it was fun. It was hot. We drove very fast up the turnpike, which was great. Once we got to Scranton, there's a group of ladies there that are very passionate and excited that we were there. There's all kinds of media. We got a certificate from the mayor, and the mayor gave a speech, and then I think it was the mayor of the other town.
Different
the mayor
of Vixen City gave a certificate.
Gave us a certificate. It's fine. It was a fun thing, and I made good with the organizer of this rally. So the rally will happen in October. It will happen on the weekend of New Hampshire, and I might go to the rally.
I totally understand that.
Yeah, I mean, it's once in a lifetime thing, and I'm thinking I might do that. It was rescheduled, and I was like, oh, it's a 16, 17 because that's way early for New Hampshire. Yep, that's New Hampshire.
Oh, New Hampshire is early this year. 16,
yes.
17.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even look because I figured it was because it's usually the weekend
the 20th,
before. Yeah, and sometime in the 20s. So anyway, we did that on Saturday, so that was kind of fun. Then we stopped on the way home, got a fantastic beer. Oh, we did hit some rain on the turnpike, going 100. No places to pull over. No roof on the car.
Yeah.
Whatevs.
At some point it was close. We put our hands up to make them so the water when it hits the very end of the windshield didn't come directly into the car. We tried to make it shoot off your hand.
Like a little more Bernoulli principle to get it
to
leave the cockpit.
It totally works.
Yeah, I'd drive faster. But there was no overhang that we could pull under, so we just did it. And we were a little wet, and then the sun came out, and we dried off, and we were like, we feel refreshed now. So that's fine. And of course, we had the race organizer in a Mustang behind us, so we both were driving triple digits most of the way. And she was like, you did that it was raining. You didn't stop. We're like, nah,
No,
it's
no
fine.
need to.
No, it's good.
There's no good
s-
place to stop.
No, and whatever. We figured it would be over soon, so it was fine. So then Sunday, we helped with the boat, and every day we work on the boat. We work, get up, work, eat sometimes, boat, sleep,
There's
repeat.
workout in there usually too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's what we're doing. Jeff, what are you doing?
Hey, wait, one quick thing we learned. This is consumer advice.
Ooh.
Just so you know, if you're going to one of the rest stops on the highway that is the same rest stop for both north and south or east and west,
You
there's a
can go
split in
the
it.
wrong direction.
No, you can't get to the other side to go the wrong direction. They
Oh.
won't let you. It's blocked off. Like you can walk into
Totally.
the building, but there's two different gas
Blocked off.
stations. There's a fence all in between. So we were going to head north to Scranton. We came in from the south, headed south because that was the way the GPS took us to get to this rest stop because it's right by an exit there as opposed to having to get on earlier. So we got
Didn't even
on
occur to me.
and said, oh no, we have to go. No. Oh, so we had to make a quick bonsai run south to get to the next
Another exit.
to turn
Very
around.
fortunately, on the Northeast Extension, some of the exits are really far apart.
Yes.
So thank goodness this one was like 5 miles. So it really wasn't that
Yes.
bad. And then we did an illegal U-turn and then got back on.
Yeah.
So funny story. I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before, but in one of my speed runs from grad school in my 73 International Scout, I would get a little tired in the middle of the turnpike there. And some
Is that the carbon monoxide poisoning?
No,
that did it?
well, it might have been that, but I
Okay.
would stop and I would get something to eat at the rest stop, and I would play a video game or two, and I would get back in the truck and I would keep going. Well, I hung my keys, like I set them down on the video game, and you didn't need the keys to start the 73 Scout.
I remember this story.
So I started driving and realized I didn't have my keys, and then I had to go all the way down, hit the cloverleaf, go all the way back, pass, because there is no entrance in that direction, pass it all the way down to the next turn around, and then pick up my keys. And it was like 4 a.m.
You won't do that again, will you?
No.
No.
Well, he doesn't have a car he can't start without keys anymore.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
try to find one.
Anyway, should I say what I
Yeah.
was working on?
Yeah.
Please,
What have you
yes,
been working
yes.
on, Jeff?
I was fighting the man again. We had a protest I helped organize at my school, a little Black Lives Matter deal. It was great. It was sponsored by our campus chapter of NAACP. And here's another consumer tip. If you're an angry white girl and you're at the campus protest, taking the microphone away from the very respectful organizers of the rally and screaming into the mic for 20 minutes is going to make the crowd not like you,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
if you're yelling for the same topics.
You're there to support
Yeah.
everybody.
That is the definition of stealing the voice. But anyway, we don't have to go there. I went camping with my son, which was always fun.
And your wife.
And my wife, she went. It was amazing.
I was like, wait, they're camping.
Yeah.
How's that a thing?
For Josh to get his next rank, he needed to set up a campsite, like decide where to put everything, erect the tent by himself, and sleep in it. So we went camping at 4:00 in the afternoon, and at 6 a.m, my wife said, "This is terrible. I'm going home."
Where'd you
And
go?
By 8:00, I was also going home. So,
Where
we
did you go?
basically
Where'd you go?
nothing. To a little campsite down by the Jersey Shore. We thought it would be nice and pleasant. It was hot and buggy.
Yeah.
Lots of bugs near the marsh. Turtle
You
Run
were-
was the name of it. It was a nice camp, but
You didn't bring bug spray?
I was swimming in it. Didn't sound.
Oh, didn't matter. You guys are funny.
But anyway, he did get promoted to second class scout, which is good. It's also his birthday time, so I've been doing lots of research and shopping in this thing that he wants that I'm just not sure whether it's going to really get any use in our house. And he won't be listening, so I can say it, but we're going to have VR goggles in the Wakeman
Oh.
house.
My gosh.
And every time he goes to bed, I'm going to be iRacing with them.
Finally, you can do a figure eight. Oh, I was going to say this later. Figure eight, and you can see what's next to you.
Don't care. I was doing great in the figure eight. We'll get to that in a minute. I also wanted to say that I finished the bike work, so now all of the bikes work, and I got like the little pedometer in it. And today was the first day. Instead of getting on the elliptical machine, I went for a 40-minute bike ride as my workout.
Excellent.
And
Where did you go?
around the neighborhood, I went like out to my parents' neighborhood and around. Did like
How did you get across the highway?
there's a traffic light. I waited for the traffic light very
Okay.
patiently and crossed.
So you went like against traffic.
Yeah, about
And
100
then-
yards.
On your side of the highway
my
to get
side
to
of
the
the
light to
highway.
go across the highway.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just wonder because I was like, you can't go very far because you live in a cul-de-sac and there's not a whole
You
lot
go around the cul-de-sac a lot.
Yeah. That 40 minutes I'd be like, I want to
No,
die. Like
no.
this is not fun at all.
Yeah, I didn't pedal for 40 minutes. According to the little computer, I pedaled for like 36 or 34, but it was like 5.8 miles. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Great.
Good. You
Yeah,
did
so-
it. Yay.
Yeah. So I also built a chair. I am not using virtual backgrounds tonight, so I could go like this. I built a chair for the wife, this purple one right here, because she
Yes.
sat in mine and went, my chair sucks. You got to get me a real chair.
So how did you do this?
It was like $100 eBay special. I just bolted it together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then I also hung Porsche parts.
Yeah, saw that. That looks great.
Yeah, so this is believe it's called Verdun Green Porsche 914 engine cover. So it is now my backdrop, and it's pretty sweet. I kind of like it.
Absolutely. Well done.
Super sweet.
Should we read mentals?
He can say it next time.
All right.
Hmm.
News and notes.
Para-athlete, championship racer, and personality Alex Zanardi, somewhat best known for his Zanardi line through Laguna Seca. Google it, watch it. It's funny. He was injured in an accident. Again, his hand bike collided with a truck, unfortunately. So he was airlifted from the scene and has undergone brain surgery, currently in a medically induced coma. So Godspeed, Alex. Hope you work out of this one.
Crap.
Yeah.
Holy
we need to
crap.
take a moment and say Alex Zanardi is one of like the coolest people in motorsports. If you're
Yeah.
like a 19-year-old and you don't know who the hell he is,
I've heard of him, but I don't know. I mean,
he lost
he's
both
so
of his
cool.
legs in, was it Formula One or was it Indy?
Yeah.
One of
Okay.
those.
One of those.
One of those. And came back and raced with hand controls a couple of times.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I've heard of him because of the cars and stuff, but
it became a like world-class hand wheelchair like marathoner or long distance, and that's what he was doing when he crashed.
Hand cyclist. Yeah.
Hand
So
cyclist,
crazy.
yeah.
oh gosh, that's awful. Well,
Mhm.
hopefully he makes a good recovery. Okay. Road and Track are reporting a story had Fred Ashmore from Maine who rented a Mustang GT, removed the passenger seat, strapped on enough extra fuel tanks to bump the car's capacity around 130 gallons. He made the trip from the Red Bull garage in Manhattan to Portofino Hotel and Marina in Redondo Beach with only one stop. New Cannonball solo record under 26 hours. We can stop now. Just
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
stop.
I'm the proponent of doing this again and again. We can stop now. Corona
Yeah.
asterisks, stop.
Right. So the John Ficara, the organizer behind the 2904 series Cannonball style beater rally, said there's so many of these runs now it's hard to think anything to say. What is this, like the 47th one this year? I don't want to take anything away from Fred. I just won 6 months with no records. Link in the show notes. Also, we had Jeff posted this to our Facebook, and one of our teammates, he's actually a racing teammate, commented and said, personally, I think cannonballing is dangerous and should not be tolerated. Excessive speeding required. These runs endangers other motorists who don't have an option to opt out. No one's averaging 110 miles on the road, especially if they have to be awake for 24 hours or more, or 20 hours or more. We've been so excited about this. We're like, so cool. Let's cannonball. Let's do it. And they're right. It's just like we should not be doing this right now.
Yeah, right now. Some people may say forever. I'm going to say right now. The world does not need us making crashes and putting people into hospital rooms on any day,
Just
but
'cause we're
more
trying to-
especially now when we're respiking. It's crazy out there in the South and the Midwest. COVID is real. Wear your mask. Stay home. That's it. That's all I want to say.
Okay, it's your turn anyway. Tell us the story.
All right, so I don't even know how to begin to do this. I'm sure everyone knows about it. Bubba Wallace, Black Lives Matter, car asked the Confederate flag to be taken down. First race after it in Alabama, and there's what seems to be a noose. There's FBI investigations. It turns out it was there previous to the race. They have a footage from 2017 where it looks like, yep, there's the noose, and it's basically the garage pole. I saw the video. It was definitely a noose.
Oh yeah, was it?
Lots of people who were saying like, oh, it wasn't just a loop and it was a hand. Yeah, okay. Eagle Scout, rock climber, sailor. Trust me, I know the knots. It was a damn noose. I don't want to go too far into the story because it's been everywhere. CNN, I mean, he's doing interviews everywhere, and just go watch the interviews, read about it. If you think that there isn't still racism in NASCAR, all you do is go to any NASCAR forum and just look at the vile and disgusting things that the fans, quote, of NASCAR are saying. There was giant conspiracy theories that this was like a Jesse Smollett situation and it was created by Bubba so that he could get more money, and it wasn't even found by it. There's so much to this. I can't even begin to unpack it, but I wanted to acknowledge it. And in one of the great interviews that Bubba did, he basically said, like, he's so tired and he's so tired of just trying to be a black man in the sport. And he talked a lot about the things that happen. And, you know, I just want to really quickly acknowledge that, like, I'm probably speaking to 90%, 98% white people right now, probably 99% male, right, Chrissy? I mean, women in motorsports are seriously underrepresented.
Well, not driving, and not. Are you talking drivers or?
Yeah, I mean, probably listening to this podcast as well.
All the above, really.
Yeah, really, all the above.
All of the things. Yeah.
I'm much more likely to hang out with a person born in the former Soviet Union Baltic states than I am a black American in Lemon's paddock. And that's just the reality, that there's financial barriers to this sport, but we need to make this sport more welcoming to indigenous, people of color, women too. Bubba said it best. He basically said, if you want to support black and brown people, do more than just like posting on your Facebook. Get out there, do something more than just shake a sign. So I put together a quick primer. I'm just going to go through a couple of quick things that you can do as a motorsports fan who maybe wants to know more. First, basic steps. You want to, you know what, read more car stuff done by black people. All right. There is a great article in Jalopnik. We'll put it in there, but there's a ton of black voices out there in the car sphere. I love Rich Rebuilds. If you're not watching his YouTube channel, what are you doing with your nights? It's great. We've already mentioned.
You geeked out when we met the guy at
I know,
SEMA.
I did. I was like, this dude rebuilds freaking Teslas. He's so cool. Yeah, he is like, if you don't like Elon, you will love Rich Rebuilds, because man, he is fighting corporate Tesla like you wouldn't believe. He's actually stopped rebuilding Teslas and has picked up a Taycan. Taycan. Because he doesn't even want to make Teslas cool anymore, because he's just so pissed at Tesla. But anyway, we've already mentioned it. Watch the Uppity, the Willie T. Ribbs story on Netflix. 2 racing things that you can do. If you want to learn more about allyship, my office did a great like primer on how to be a better ally. So I'm going to put that link in the show notes. It's a YouTube video. Just watch it. It's awesome. There's also a TED Talk out there on understanding white privilege. So I'm going to put that out there. There's a book, a great book that a lot of people have read in education or in grad school, called Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria? If you don't understand why it might be difficult for a black or Latino person to be in a very white paddock at a race read that, because that's really about what it feels like. Or it's a bunch of different conversations. I'm not even going to bother, but I'm just going to really quickly throw out there. If you want to do something hardcore, check out Ta-Nehisi Coates' The Case for Reparations. It's an Atlantic article. Two of the books that have been sold out of Amazon and are just getting restocked. The New Jim Crow is a great talk about the age of colorblindness and white fragility. Read books if you want to get really hardcore. I'm done. I don't want to be this anything other than a funny car show, but shit's real, and it's becoming impossible to ignore. And we always talk about women in motorsports. We always talk about, creating spaces for others. Let's put our money where our mouth is. That's it. End of rant.
Thanks.
Cool.
Upcoming
All right.
races. There are upcoming races. I didn't know.
This is Mental is supposed to read this, but I guess I'll do it to give Jeff a break. AER is breaking the dry season, running NJMP Lightning this weekend. Lightning. Ugh.
Woo!
63 cars. 30 of those are
Oh.
BMWs.
My goodness.
Boring.
Yep. 7 Miatas, 1 Honda, 11 Porsche, and the always wonderful Mercury Cougar from Drunken Squirrel Racing. That thing is so damn fast. We know Judge Shaji will be cheering that one to victory, even though he won't be there or even know about it because it's the wrong series. Thanks, Metal. Also, former guest host Trevor Andrusko is partnering up with Team Motor and sometimes competitor Casey Carden. They're running the GT3 he talked about in us. So, yeah, that's not speed differential. Don't worry. It's fine.
Real quick notes on this. And oh my gosh, what is it that fills the fire bottles? Energies.
Stable Energies.
Stable Energies. Stable Energies will be in the paddock and we'll be able to refill and recertify your fire systems.
AFFF. Fantastic. Yep. Are you just going to head down there that day and get ours filled?
I was thinking about it.
That'd be great. Fantastic.
But we still need to buy another one for the Z. So
yeah.
Maybe I'll call them up and order them.
Cool.
Because they said if you call them beforehand, they'll bring down whatever you need, but they're not bringing down the whole shop. So if there's something specific you need, call them.
Makes sense. Okay. Lemons is at Gingerman this weekend, and the entry list is glorious. There are 105 cars. 11 of them are still boring BMWs. Only 2 Miatas, 10 Hondas, 3 P cars, and a Saturn Ute.
Nice.
Plymouth Valiant.
Must be Valiant.
Oh, I missed
the T.
Spelled wrong, then. That's not fun. A 47 Special Deluxe.
Is that a Ford?
Yeah, Plymouth, I think.
Oh, Plymouth. Okay.
That's all it said. So that's all I know. And there's so many other good cars. All right. So this is a little long, but stay with us because all of this insight is from the Everything Bagel, Mr. Rude, who knows what's coming and knows the great stories around these cars. So first, starting off, the Volex, Voleex C20.
What the hell is that?
It is a Great Wall Motorsports product, aka the first Chinese car ever at Lemons. The story behind it is incredible.
It's going
to cause a shitstorm in Detroit if it catches on. Basically, the one of the big three bought a couple of them into the country to test, and then they sent them to a wrecking yard to be destroyed. Except the wrecking yard was just sold to a Lemons team instead. Number of replacements, parts available, none. It's a boring sedan thing. I think it's like 100 horsepower, 3,000 pounds. It's gonna dominate.
This has IOE written all over it.
I mean, it's just gonna go around and around. Not having parts is always exciting.
Absolutely. I was just wondering what they're doing for a theme. It's either it has potential to be very offensive. So.
All right, well, we'll see. All right, so the 67 Fairlane was a car. Fairlane was a car that was put together by a shop chassis in a shop class in Texas that raced at MSR. Chad Adams, who owned my Lemons Escort before this, bought it and sold it. Bought it and going to bring it.
That's Eric Rude's Escort.
I'm sorry. Yes, Eric Rude's. Right. This is all from him. And the 72 Valiant has been trying to race Lemons for a couple of years. There's some wild backstory in the last minute thrash to Power Tour some years ago. We'll have to get the details.
All right. Hey, Randy Bish and Company, he might have put down his bottle for drinking for charity for the moment. They've got 2 new cars that they're bringing. The Z was a car that was raced at Road at Atlanta and CMP, we think. Additionally, the number 59 Saturn Ute is apparently a Solstice that has been converted into a Sky and has a truck bed. And knowing exactly how that all works, it's basically just a different bumper and hood. And if you just take the rear deck lid off, it's a truck bed, essentially, because it's just
so
a
this
big
isn't
open
like
hole
an
in it.
Australian import or anything cool
No.
like that.
Nor is it a Saturn like View or something like that. That would be just so tragic. It's apparently this is the Solstice that won at Kansas that race. May have a V8 in it now. Eric has no idea. So he said it's an interesting team though, so we're gonna find out.
That one was a turbo one, right?
I don't even know. We heard yes, we heard no.
The one that won, I thought, was a turbo.
It would have to be because our non-turbo one was definitely not fast enough to win, no matter what. But there are lots of race winners here that should keep it interesting. Petrosexuals, Cadillac 4100, or actually now 4900 Miata, say the Tatas, Lemonade, Rod Throwing Fools, Flying Pigs, Land Shark, Orca might even have a shot. Charnel House too with their MR2 Spider. It's probably also going to rain on Saturday, which is the great equalizer, especially for some of these big powerful cars.
Yeah, cross off the MR2 Spider then. In the rain,
I don't know.
Man, that thing
lightweight. The right tires, lightweight, that might work. Like I'd rather that than the like the Tatas with their 305 monster tires.
No,
everywhere,
that's not going to help. No,
exactly. So
all right. Chris Reynolds will be there in his 77 Celica, which is some kind of SCCA IT race car, like 1993, has all this like rusty go fast stuff on it. It does not go fast, according to Rude. So many times it doesn't even go at all. The world famous Wonderment Consortium is bringing back the Quantum Wagon with a 20-valve Audi turbo engine in it that's like 700 PSI boost or something like that. So they're also going to be bringing a spin-off of them. Consortium dudes are bringing a Mini, a like current Mini, like I should say new body
like
Mini.
All capitals Mini.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Like
the BMW built Mini.
Yeah.
So will that be the first one in Lemons?
No, there have been a couple before. They didn't do very well.
No.
Yeah.
Andy DeRossi and Blake Field are going to Ironman, the 996 Lexus. This car has been great, and Andy is pretty fast, according to Rude. So, he was in national and Detroit news media for all of his stuff with the hand sanitizer. When I was camping with my son, I had some Arsenal of Clean sanitizer in my pocket. It's Arsenal of Clean or Detroit Bus. Buy some, support them. There's lots of Fords, Mustangs, Focuses, lots of post-2000 newer cars, according to Rude. So, good?
Hey, why not?
I don't know.
We're getting to that era where those kind of cars are becoming Lemons cars. Like,
why 2002 is 18 years old.
Right.
I mean,
like we need to 2010 stuff pretty soon. Like a Dodge Avenger. What a terrible, terrible car. No one will ever argue that it's worth anything. So that could be there.
And if your car starts with a 2.9s, if it's a 1990 something, parts are getting really, really hard to find. Even in
if it starts with an 8.
Yeah. All right. Recent results. There were some races.
There were. Champ Car was running Willow Springs this weekend, and we had Pantsless Matt there, and Corey Dickman. We know they were there. Matt said it was a good time. Saturday wrapped with Tanaka R&D putting their 93 Accord on top of the podium, interestingly, ahead of the Tron 88 Camaro, which was 6 laps back, and then a lap behind them was Blown My Wad in a boring BMW. And let's see, Corey put the 76 Olds Omega at the top of the exhibition class by over 52 laps and took 7th overall. And the Solstice, our old Solstice, took 9th. So there you go.
Okay.
Sunze, Zoom Kabooms Miata took overall. Roto Pluger in their RX-7 was 56 seconds behind. That's close. And Blown My Wad again was 5 laps down. And Tron took the Class D trophy. Corey and Matt were sidelined with wheel bearing failures. Yeah, apparently in the Solstice, the bolts holding the wheel and hub assembly to the upright, which in the Solstice is very GM-like. There's 3 bolts that come in from the back. And it's also the exact same part front and rear because GM parts bin. They said, well, that's good enough. that the bolts apparently backed out of the wheel bearing.
The Omega also blew a wheel bearing, right?
Yeah, supposedly. So watch out.
Why is that
Apparently,
in exhibition class?
because it has an LS 4.8 in it, and it's because Champ charges you for like square feet of plywood used.
Oh well, I think it's filled with
Right.
plywood. Yeah.
Right, things like that. So it just didn't quite match. So they said, whatever, we don't care. We're just here to have fun. It's a 76 Olds Omega, and it came in 7th. So, yeah. Anyway.
Totally makes sense.
Yep. And
how many
listen. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. How many cars were there?
it wasn't that many. Matt said it was
No.
like 26, I think.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm sorry. I was just trying to.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking
Champ-
7th, and I'm like, well, 7th, is that
yeah,
good, or is
no.
that 7th out
Champ
of 10?
just doesn't have much of a following on the West Coast, it seems.
Yep.
No.
Okay. Listener feedback. Okay, so I put a request in for just the tip, and I only got one. I was looking for items that people use something for something else, that tool or equipment or something like that. So this weekend, my charge was to sand my plexiglass windshield and remove scratches. It's never been done before. Really beat because it's on a boat. Duh. So in Chris's infinite wisdom, he suggested to use the headlight restoration kit, the 3M thing that attaches to your drill, and it needed a little bit more. What?
Say I have one when you're done.
Okay, great. It's a shame you didn't answer my Facebook thing.
Sorry.
That's fine. So it worked. We needed to do a little bit more in each step, but it worked wonders. It looks beautiful. It looks basically brand new, except for the couple cracks that are already in it. In response to my quote, my request, Sean, our friend Sean from the beautiful British Columbia, I said I picked up an old brake lathe last week. I set it up as a Mini Cooper. I have a setup with a Mini Cooper hub, so I can start refurbishing and polishing mini alloy wheels. So that was fun, and it looks like a kind of a monster. So I was like, it's good that you even have space for that, but also I think he needs it because he is one of the guys who runs original minis, and I would imagine the wheels are probably starting to leave us.
Yeah, what are they, like 10-inch wheels? They're like tiny, right?
Yeah.
There.
You should see the brake rotors that fit inside them. It's really cute.
Transient gentleman Dave Mills chimed in through the Facebooks. He listened to the trailer podcast, and as we know, he's living like a hobo. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to say that anymore. He's living the life of leisure on the road. So he says, listening to the trailer podcast right now, I can think of a number of great case uses for solar, and he outfitted his entire RV for his trip. He got at Fazio's, we've mentioned Fazio's here before, it's our local steel place, had a stack of used panels, $125 for a 24-volt panel with the proper charge controller, MPPT. I don't know what that means, but it had the proper charge controller. And he suggested that you go with a 24-volt over a 12-volt panel at all times if you're building one of these for your trailer or RV, because it captures more morning and afternoon light.
He would know because that would be important to him.
Yeah. So there it is. Use a 12-volt or 24-volt panels instead of 12 and stack them up.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks for the consumer advice there, transient gentleman Dave.
Racer owner reaction. All
right. So there was a Thursday race. I think the crew ran it at Road America. There's no commentary. So everybody is now busy with real life and meet space racing. Most of our friends don't run on this race because it's a little usually chaotic. So 7-1. That's all I know.
There you go. Trash Tuesdays happened yesterday. We're recording
Yes,
this on Wednesday, the 24th. They did like less than 24 hours notice that it was happening. They were doing a figure 8 race, and it was glorious. I had more fun on that than any other Lemons race, but the broadcast was kind of weird because they put out weird session numbers, and there were like 6 people in the broadcast session, and then like 18 in my session that didn't get broadcast because everybody thought it was the broadcast section. So they had a lot more people than if you watch the YouTube, you'll realize.
Yeah, the YouTube was pretty thin, actually.
Yeah, they had 6. Dave was in it. He was like, well, what the heck? So anyway, they did a light class which was Miatas, Solstices, and Legends. And then they did a heavy class, which was Camaros and Mustangs, and I can't remember what else. And then they did it's going to be chaos. Let's just do it. And it was Legends and Pro 2 trucks and Camaros, and it was amazing. That one was actually way more fun. I was in the light class one, and like there is nothing more fun than being monster trucked by a Pro 2 when you're in a Legend. And if you hit them right, you roll them, and it's hilarious. So
Excellent.
yeah, and nobody got butt hurt because it's a figure eight when he crashed. Santiago and I hit each other like many times. Some of them were unintentional. Dave was with it. He had kind of the same action with Pat Murley. He said that they were just basically messing with each other and trying to hit each other frequently, and had a great time. And it was just laughs all around. It was a yuck fest.
It was a yuck fest last time. We did it once a long time ago, kind of in the beginning of when we started doing our iRacing. And I didn't realize Chris had not done it, the figure eight race. So I was watching. I thought it looked pretty fun. The people that did the commentary thought that you win by luck. And I said, if you have a VR set, you can see out of the peripheral. Like you can see and look before you get there. And they didn't realize that. So I was like, the people that are like the Nick Schwinn, I think, won because he always wins. He was up 3 or 4 laps on the one that was doing the commentary. And so I wrote in the YouTube, and I was like, so you can see. So you don't it's not just like, let's hope we can get there. Oh, nobody hit me. You can.
I think winning in a figure eight race by laps is totally losing. That's not the point.
No, and he won by a lot too.
I finished mid-pack in, granted, very underpowered cars because the Legend couldn't keep up with the other cars. But basically it was because when I got hit, I didn't brake. And I could not see, as we've talked about before.
Yes.
You just keep your foot down. I think people get hit more often by attempting to avoid stuff.
I don't know. I did pretty well when we did the figure eight. Our figure eight was packed. We had a lot of people, and of course we did not care who won. So, we did. Of the people that tried to win, did want to win, but I think you can try that effort if you
and absolutely. And I would look when entering
Yeah.
The figure eight, like as I was turning into the part that goes to the figure eight, I would look and basically hope.
Yes.
Like put my car
but you
where,
couldn't see.
Well,
That's
no, because like
problem.
I would see a car and see that there was a gap behind them and shoot for the gap behind them, but I would not like look left or look right.
Right.
And out of 18, I finished 8th. So I'll take that as a win.
Cool.
Cool.
E1R racing recap.
So we decided this week, it was supposed to be New Hampshire. We said, we've all driven New Hampshire a bunch. Let's do something different. So we picked old, bumpy, legacy Daytona road course because it's free. And we did it in mostly the old 87 NASCARs. Ye, emphasis, ha. We had a lot of fun. I mean, these cars are so awful, especially if you don't tune them up at all. And it's such a difference between the 40-mile-an-hour corners and the 180-mile-an-hour straights. These cars have no real brakes. You go from first gear to top speed every lap. Just manhandling these things around. A lot of laughs by people just at how bad they are. So actually some good liveries too. Like Tom had a Darrell Waltrip Tide livery going on. There are some things like that. The crash fest at the end of the race was excellent because you build up to that 180 miles an hour and head into the crash fest. Jim especially, he launched and he went into orbit, but he had a barrel roll and just kept rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling and landed on his wheels on the track.
The car didn't even look broken. It was like
it was excellent.
That's on YouTube, so we could link the show notes if we wanted to.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
And somehow I managed to win the second race. I don't really know how. I think it was by not crashing, but even though Dave was there, I think Dave was just being nice mostly. So
I think I've wrecked Dave a few times. I think that might be the problem.
Oh, that might have been the problem. Yeah, Jeff, how do you manage to
So
I was like, how did he manage to be so bad? But I guess that's the question.
no. So I went back later and I made some adjustments and I got a lot better. The force feedback on my wheel was like really high.
Man, you've got good excuses.
So
I love your
no.
excuses.
So it
I
was
think
actually
that's
like
it's that terrible track. It's so bumpy. That's
yeah.
the feedback
So
you
it was
get.
like shaking my rig. So like even if my hands weren't moving, which I'm sure they were moving, like because it was hitting me pretty hard, it was moving the rig like a lot. So I actually cranked it down. Like after our race, I cranked it down and like immediately was setting much faster laps. So I don't know.
Is that why you were blowing motors too? Like what?
Settings. We're going to talk about settings in a little bit,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, we are. That's what we're talking
Settings
about.
are important.
Yeah.
We'll see if I get better with VR. If I don't get better with VR, clearly I'm the problem.
Yeah.
Well, no, if you're the rest of your setup, if
you
like,
shouldn't
if you
be
have
able to.
feedback,
I don't know, like the
a
way you
lot of
can't see your
feedback.
gauges. There's something like wrong with that. Like I don't
Oh,
know.
You
because
can see
that's
all of your
the
setup.
that's the force of view, the field of view thing. Because I measured and it told me that should be my field of view, but it doesn't help. I still can't feel the speed. Anyway, we're gonna talk about that, and we should say hi to Chrissy's mom here
Yeah.
because it's the normal part of the show, and I don't have a transition today.
I say, who else can't feel the speed?
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
There you go. Hi, Carol.
Hey, topic time. iRacing setups. I already said it. My setup's terrible. Chris hands me a car, and all of a sudden I'm going faster.
seriously.
It's
And I make fun of you,
amazing.
and then I'm like, oh, now what
I
happened?
thought I had a good setup until I borrowed one of Chris's. And then I realized, no, I'm terrible at this. I mean, I'm terrible at everything, but I'm specifically not good at this either. Let's start. We might do this a little bit interviewee style, Chris, because I know nothing and you know a lot.
And I don't know a whole lot. I just know just enough to make things work. So
let's start with the basics. Is there parallels between setting up a real car and setting up an iRacing car? If so, like,
yes.
do the basics hold? Things
Yes.
that work in cars, do they work in iRacing?
Yes. Not 100%, but pretty damn close. So it's actually a great tool for understanding suspension adjustments. Like make an adjustment, see what happens. So if you really want to get a good understanding to start off of this, pause the episode, go back, listen to parts of episode 135, which was tire temps, parts of episode 124, which was on corner weighting, and parts of episode 77, which is on alignment. You will then have a much better understanding of what we're talking about here and what to do on your own without even listening to us babble for the next 15 or 20 minutes.
And those of you who haven't really played with the settings, like it will give you corner weights. And you could like play with the spring rates and see the corner weights like move in real time. So understanding the concepts, it's actually a lot easier than it is in like meat space because you don't have to like roll it to the scales or go borrow scales or go do this or go do that. You can really, really define the cars very well inside iRacing, which is probably part of the problem because I mess it up trying to mess with it.
Yeah, everything that you would normally would check and takes a long time to check and adjust is adjustable by a single click. So it's really fast and easy to do. So to start off, let's handle something that's, I know it's been a problem for a lot of people, taking one of the circle track cars and trying to make it turn both ways. So like your 87 NASCAR, like your Legend, the street stock, etc. It's been a problem for a lot of people because those are set up to turn left. That's it. Like they can barely go straight. Like going straight is a right-hand turn for them. So how do you make them work on a road course setup? It is possible, but it takes a lot of changes to do to make it be a lot better. So first you've got to get the setup to look like a road course setup. And essentially have both sides match to start off.
Yeah.
Right. It's a
the
huge
Legend
thing.
has stagger. It has all of this like wacky stuff that you've never
all over
seen
the place.
in your car.
It's all over the place. So just start off by evening it out. Like take out all the stagger. get your spring rates and shock settings to be even instead of all out with, like, usually the right side is much higher. You know what? Put both sides at where the right side is, because if that's what the setup is to start off with for the way they want it to turn, it'll probably work okay the other way too. So get the shocks and springs even like that. Alignment's the next thing. Usually it's going to have negative camber on one side and positive camber on the other side, and the caster is going to be stacked and the toe is going to be all out of whack. Get it to a base setup somewhere with camber around 2 negative, toe around 0, caster around whatever they have the right side is set at. Do that for the left side because it helps. And really, you'll get that good camber gain that you're looking for there, and it'll be even all around. So now you've got most of the suspension pointing the right direction, which is good. Next, you got to get rid of any preload that they have. Sometimes there's like suspension preload, torque arm preload, sway bar preload. This is like loading up the ends of suspension so that there's more weight or less weight on a certain spot so that it's more responsive when you're turning left. We don't need that. Take all of that out.
Real quick, I just want to say, like, people who have maybe dealt with regular cars probably have never heard of some of these things, like torque arm preload and stagger and things. And
I barely know what it is. I just know we don't want it for road racing.
Oh, yeah. But I want to mention in episode 138, when we were talking to Tyler Hoffman, he mentioned that the bones of iRacing started as a NASCAR platform. And as a NASCAR platform, it was mainly for oval racing. And I think those bones still, like, you never get rid of the original source code. That's still in there deep.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because why would they build entirely new code for road racing when it's just easier to modify what they have?
Oh, wait, a voice we haven't heard.
And man, this is even worse than the tuba mockery. This is definitely Bluetooth Mercedes audio coming through here.
which means that it sounds awesome. I should sound like Sam Elliott right now.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Mental, it's good to have you. We are halfway through the main topic.
A thousand apologies. A comedy of errors today, but yeah, I something popped up that had to be done today, and at 3:30 I stumbled across a facet of this task that I knew was not going to allow me to leave on time.
It's all right. It happens. So we're talking about getting your circle track car to go turn right. So
yes, and I caught in as you were talking about preload, and if you've already covered this, I'll shut up. But how do I? Because when I tried to do that, and I got it to where it would turn right and left, but I was doing so at the sacrifice of high-speed stability, which in those stock cars is a real problem, especially at Daytona.
You probably still had the toe set up or something wrong, so it wasn't actually all pointing all the same direction.
Yeah,
That's
toe is the key to stability.
Yeah, to a point.
Well, and I would try to give it some toe in, but if I went even beyond a certain point, it would fail tech, and I could, like I said, it would turn left and right, but on the straightaways it would just wander.
Yeah, I should go back to 0-ish and start there. Really.
Okay.
Like you go too much in. Too much in makes it just as bad. That's too much out, really. So,
all
right. So next we're on height, because usually the heights are all out of whack too, especially now that you've changed spring rates and things. So start with trying to get them all even-ish, kind of close to whatever the lower of the sides, and then look at your corner weights. It's going to be there, and you're looking at your cross weights. You want it to be as close to 50% as possible. So start adjusting. So if it really, I don't remember exactly which one you push, but you want to get it to 50%. And if you want to learn about corner weights, go listen to our corner weight episode. It's essentially getting the left front and right rear wheel combined weight to be the same as the right front and left rear wheel combined weight. So start lowering and raising like a certain corner and see which way it goes. And if it's going toward 50, great, do that, or do the opposite corner diagonally. And so either of those will help you get to 50. So don't just do one wheel. Try to do like low, do all of them a little bit to try to get it closer to 50.
Yeah,
but
this is probably the easiest thing that Chris is discussing. Like corner weighting is corner weighting is corner weighting. It doesn't really matter what the numbers are because you're not trying. You can't make the car any lighter. You can't like remove ballast. Maybe you can on some cars, but none of the ones I've been on.
I think the NASCAR you can a little bit.
Okay.
There's not much, but a little bit. Yeah.
Well, I mean, but fuel, people have trimmed fuel.
Yeah, true.
Corner weighting is very obvious and very easy. So do that. Don't screw that up.
Absolutely. Now, as you make all these changes, it's going to change other stuff. Like when you change spring rates, that's changing your ride height, changing your corner weights. When you change your corner weights, it's going to change your alignment. Because that's changing your heights. So as you make changes, keep going around this loop and get everything back to where it's supposed to be. It's probably going to take a couple rounds to get it all even. So if you've done all this, the car will probably be okay going left and right now. It's like as a rough baseline. This is not perfect, but it should be a good start, and the car should be able to pass tech. Because a lot of times the stock setup on these cars, when they're completely on the wrong kind of track, doesn't even pass the tech for the track.
Mm-hmm.
So if not, look and see what's red and adjust that. And if you're not sure which way to go toward 0, whatever it is. And
except for ride height.
Ride height, yes. Ride height.
Well, now with the adjustments of what's going to fail tech, I noticed it would flash red and then it would say too high or too low, which would give me a direction to at least get it to pass tech.
Oh, good. Yeah, sometimes
but
it's not
when you did that, sometimes it would change other things that would also throw it off.
Every time it changed other things, it would throw everything off. But I could get it to pass tech. I just couldn't get it to be stable.
Yeah, height is the one they'll tell you, but like torque arm preload, like what the hell? I don't know.
There is no tech, for torque arm preload or stagger.
Yeah.
So it will let you screw that up immensely.
Now, some of them did like weird things, and I didn't really know what they were because I had to do circle track stuff. Were causing me to fail tech on the NASCAR, so
okay.
I had to keep adjusting that. So, would end doubt, go towards 0, give it a try. So, give that a shot. That'll at least get you to a rough place where you won't be as terrible, really. And
but then
it's kind of a baseline.
But then you got to test. Right, Tris?
Yes,
this is
that's what we're getting to.
This is the key that is the difference between you and I, because I might get a setup because I have stolen some of Trevor's setups. I'm not changing them at all. I'm not going back after a race and making any adjustments, and I'm sure I'm leaving a lot on the table for that.
Well, here's a couple of things you can do for that. And this goes for any car, not just the circle track cars, but any car you want to adjust your setup. Here's where you go from baseline. First up, this is simple, gear ratios. Some cars have adjustable rear end ratios in these, like the NASCARs, like the Legends, etc. Pick whichever one is numerically high enough that basically as high as you can go numerically, that'll still allow you to get right about at red line in top gear on the longest straight. That way you're maximizing all of your range, and you're giving yourself just a little bit of wiggle room. If you catch a draft down the straight and you'll get an extra couple hundred RPM, you're not hitting the rev limiter. So that's your rough guide to do that. For the rest of it, you've just got to go run a few laps and see how it feels, but also look at your tire temperatures. iRacing gives you your tire temperatures once you come in for a pit stop. It gives you temperatures and pressures, including where you started and what they are hot. Use that information. That is great information, and you'll learn a lot about how to do it. And go back to our tire temperature episode, and you'll learn about it too. Essentially, though, you're trying to get them to be as even as possible across the tread. That means you've got everything set up right. In simple terms, if it's hot on the inside, you need less camber. If it's hot on the middle, you have too much tire pressure. If it's cold in the middle compared to the sides, not enough tire pressure. If it's hot on the outside edge, you've got not enough camber, or you've got too much toe in.
Let me just put in a pitch here too. This is going to change as you go to different tracks and as you get better. I know for a fact the gear ratios are very track specific, and as you get better at Road Atlanta in the Legend, I had to adjust the gear ratio a couple times as I got more skilled at it, because I was making the turns better and having a faster time down the straight. So you're going to have to keep adjusting. You're going to have to keep monitoring the tire temps and the gear ratios kind of throughout and for every specific track.
And I was gonna say that, Jeff, because if you're using Trevor's setups, you know, Trevor runs in several nationally ranked series, and he's got a really good sim setup, full motion, the whole 9 yards too.
Yeah. I think they were Tyler's setups. Tyler's or Trevor's? I think
Both of them,
Tyler's.
actually.
Yeah.
Tyler sent us the drive, but yeah, Trevor's got some good ones too.
Yeah. I have stolen Tyler's because he was on here, and I said, "Hey, man, send me your setups."
Yeah, and that's a good place
So
to
for
start.
anyone else, contact Kingpin Racing. Get some good setups.
Yep. So again, it's back to tire pressures or tire temps. You really just have to run, make some adjustments, run, see where your numbers are, make some adjustments, hopefully not too many at once, and go back and run again. And you only need like 3 or 4 laps, just enough to get a feel for it and get the tires up to temp. Repeat. And you do that 3 or 4 times, and suddenly the car is going to be pretty decent. Like, yes, you can keep working at it and dialing it in. And eventually, if you've got more time, start experimenting with stuff. Like, what happens when I do this? Does it make me faster or slower? Find out. See what happens. And you'll learn not just for iRacing, but for real racing too. Chrissy?
On that note, you also need not to say is it faster or slower, but what is the car doing? Because the one time when I got out of the car, you said, what is it doing? Because we were trying to adjust some of the settings, and is it oversteering? Is it understeering? Is it pushing wide? When you do this, what happens, to be able to try to troubleshoot? I mean, that's kind of advanced troubleshooting, but it's more of not just did I suck that time or not? Because you started asking more questions about that.
Well, absolutely. And here's the basics of handling. If it understeers, if it pushes a lot, tighten suspension in the front. So whether it's a bigger sway bar or stiffer springs, tighten some in the front. Or understeering. Understeering is tighten something in the rear, loosen it in the front. If it oversteers, the opposite. That's where you want to tighten the front with stiffer springs, or loosen the rear with softer springs or a softer sway bar. So,
yeah, I haven't heard anything tonight that is different than real cars. Obviously, we don't have
it's all the same thing,
presets and things like that. So generally you're tuning this like you would a real car, but you have, I guess, a hand of God that can kind of like quick twist one thing and go right back out again. That never, like, we never would have been able to know if we had knocked off the rear toe by changing some ride height or tire pressure, like as immediate as you do in iRacing, because the numbers are right in front of you.
And that's why it's really convenient to learn about suspension setup eventually. You got a setup you like, go change something a bit, not really subtly, but not hugely dramatically, but enough that you'll notice it, and go see what it feels like. See how fast it is. You'll learn something. You can always put it back. Just keep saving setups and see what you like. Really.
Cool. I want to put in a pitch real quick here. If you don't happen to have friends with Tyler and can steal a bunch of setups, the iRacing community on Reddit is vast and filled with lots of people who are trading setups. I have no idea who's good and who isn't good, so I've kind of stayed away from it because I have a Tyler or a Chris who can give me something kind of to start with. But if you're lost in the woods and just you're looking for something that is as basic as possible, the iRacing has setups and you can find them on Reddit. So check both of those out.
Cool. Yeah, it's not as complicated as people would think. Like, you get into the legend for the first time, and it's hard to drive. You get into the NASCARs, and they are impossible to drive without making any changes.
They're so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was using the Watkins Glen setup for the 87 NASCARs because it was the only road race that I guess they did in 87 in the iRacing setups, and it was a great baseline to start.
Yeah.
And
I was particularly annoyed with the VR because my hands weren't in the right position. I wanted to reach the reality and fix my hands.
Nope. Can't do it. I'm also annoyed that it doesn't shift, like the arm doesn't reach down to the shifter. Like, it just doesn't seem right.
You're
Yeah,
all
come on, iRacing.
OCD.
Yeah.
I just hope my dog doesn't fart so bad next to me that my eyes water, because that really takes me out of the reality that I'm in a race car. I'm like, oh, what the hell was? Oh my God, that dog! Jesus.
Well, there's usually some various distorted bad smells on a racetrack. It's just not pepperoni dog
I
farts.
guess.
So,
Jesus.
yeah.
I don't know. There's been a couple times after breakfast macaroni casserole, 2 days of not drinking enough water, that I've polluted the inside of a race car too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different when it's your own brand.
Oh my gosh. Setups on iRacing. I also mentioned, and Tyler mentioned it. We should mention that show again. I'm pulling out my pocket cast here to see what number it was. Number
It was
138.
only several weeks ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was number 138. Sim and Meat Space Coaching with Tyler Hoffman. It was a great episode. He talked a lot about what he does to coach people in iRacing, and he talked a lot about setting up their rigs. And I mentioned that I had too much force feedback and it was causing a problem, and he mentioned field of view. We mentioned all these things. So there's setup of the car and setup of your rig, and tonight we're talking about setup of your car, but just know that stuff matters too, and you can find out more about it on episode 138.
Yeah, so to relist the episodes you need to go listen partially to again. It's 138 for Tyler, 135 for tire temps and what to do about them, 124 for corner weighting and how it works, and 77 for alignment. If you understand all those concepts, you can do a lot with this stuff. It is not rocket science.
Well, now, Chris, because you're our suspension guru on the team, and you enjoy iRacing, but you are not embracing it in the full mode that Jeff and I have. But how do you feel, about the idea behind iRacing is you're using it as a training tool to aid your real racing? How would you rate these suspension experiments with training yourself to do real world suspension?
The concepts are all the same. The principles are the same. The reactions are basically the same. It never does. You don't get the feel that you do in the car, obviously, because your butt doesn't move. But
like somebody more at my level that would want to start learning about suspension setups. I can go with your guidance and make a little adjustment. Oh, I feel like the car's doing that.
Yeah,
I should remember that next time I'm in a real car.
Absolutely. Like if you just go and crank up the rear springs on your car, it's gonna oversteer more. Give it a try just to see what happens. And that's why, like, if you're not like really trying to prep for a race, or you've got a car that you like the setup on, save that setup and start experimenting. Like see what happens. That's how you learn about it. Make moderate adjustments, one adjustment at a time, and you'll feel the difference. Then you'll know.
Let's say I'm a entrepreneurial ceramist out there who wanted to get really good. What book would he assign his wife to read? Is there a book or a podcast or a blog out there? There was doesn't what's his name have Set Up to Win?
It's like Smokey Eunuch or something like that. It's got a chassis setup book.
No. It's Carol Smith.
Carol
the
Smith.
Engineer to Win.
That's the one.
Yeah,
that's the one. Yep. Look, that's the kind of stuff.
Series. Actually, they're really good. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's where I would go. Is that stuff?
Yeah, the Carol Smith books are really excellent. I don't have Engineer to Win or Prep to Win. I have the Race to Win or whatever it is. So
I got gifted on the Lemons Secret Santa. I got gifted his book on specific parts that's dated 1970 something and refers to a specific mail order catalog. That is excellent if you can't fall asleep.
Well, in other news, you're listening to a podcast that is excellent if you're having trouble sleeping. Does anyone have anything else to talk about? Chrissy, you've been kind of quiet, and I want to make sure we have your voice. How do you feel about setups in the iRacing world?
I like it when I have a I'm arrive and drive. I'm a lady driver who shows up. My car is prepped for me. I get in my car. I put my VR headset on and say, "Gosh, this car has no brakes. What? Why does it have no brakes?"
I would take that up with your crew chief because it sounds like they're slacking on the job.
Right, I know. This is what I'm saying. This is why I get in my car and I'm just like, "This is."
I only had 10 minutes to set that car up for that race.
But Chrissy, communicating to your quote crew
Yes.
on what it's doing wrong is equally important, right?
Yes. Well, that's why I had that input, is because I said, "Gosh, this car sucks," and then we went over what is it doing so we could fix it. So then, of course, when he got in, he fixed it a little better, probably not a whole lot, but made a couple adjustments to try to make the car better than what I was experiencing.
Yeah.
And there is personal preference in setups. I know for a fact that Chris has set up the Honda, and he's like, "It's really fast, and this is my and I'm like, "Oh no, that is way too twitchy for the rest of us," and you have to dial it back a little. And
Hey, speak for yourself, white man. I'm all about I like it twitchy.
well, and there's a certain level of, who's going to be driving. Is this our beginner car or is this our expert car? Are we trying to win or are we trying to survive? Obviously, endurance racing, the fastest car does not always win.
Yeah.
The fastest lap rarely wins.
Well, it's like Betty had been a good time trial car, but it was basically undrivable in traffic, like impossible, until we made it a less aggressive setup. It didn't lose much speed, but it became actually friendly to drive, and where if someone dropped the muffler off their car in front of you, you actually had a chance of avoiding it without spinning out.
Time attack and endurance racing are as different sports as soccer and football.
Fact.
Yep. Hand egg and football.
Hand egg and football. Do we have a just the tip hella sweet or an on the spot? I have a interesting.
I thought you had one there.
I
yeah.
do have one here, and I want us to kind of wax aesthetically. So I wouldn't call this an on the spot, and I wouldn't call it a hella sweet because I think it's not an either or. What is the prediction around the table?
This is Conversation Street.
This is Conversation Street. I have selected
trademark. This is Chat Avenue.
Chat Avenue. I love Chat Avenue. The Chat Avenue tonight is we're meat spacing racing again. AER is back. Champ is back. Lucky Dog has been back, and Lemons is back next weekend. What's going to happen with the iRacing community once we're like kind of back to it? Is this going to stick? Is this going to be around? Are we going to do less? Are we going to do more? How are we going to interact with the iRacing world? And what's the community going to be like? Predictions.
I think it's going to wax and wane with a variety of factors. In summertime, when everyone is, especially when they can be out and about and enjoying their outside time and perhaps even real racing, I think it's really going to fall off. I think it comes to wintertime, though, and when the races are fewer and farther between, or a second wave hits and we're all back up on lockdown in the fall, I think it's going to spike right back up for interest. But I think a lot of people have opened the door to this and gotten setups. And if they might not do it the same frequency they're going to do it now, I think they're still going to do it obviously more than they did before when they didn't have a setup. Now that they kind of know how it is and know it's fun, it's still going to be there, I think.
I know that we've talked about the loss of right seat post-COVID. And I think that's where iRacing's future is. It's in the training world. It's in the coaching world. I'm not going to get in your car, but I will sit next to you on a simulator or virtually sit with you in a simulator And if you don't have to fly your driving coach to the track that you're at or rent a track, even better. So I suspect we'll see an uptick in coaching.
I think the problem with utilizing that as the coaching tool is that I feel like I need different coaching for iRacing than I do real racing. So or real meat space car in a car. I have different problems. I have different because it's not the same car that I'm in. So I would love to have somebody watch me in iRacing, but it would be I don't do iRacing nearly as much as I am good at real racing. So I think it's different. I think it's I would take coaching as how do I get faster in a, and this is just for me because I know that there's plenty of iRacers that do it and they can be very consistent and they can be very good, but I don't do it enough to feel like the coaching that I would receive in iRacing be significant and sufficient to teach me what I should be doing in a race car.
Well, I think once you understand the principles and things, that's where a lot of it comes from. But like, Chrissy, if you're absolutely right, the things in the race car that you have a problem with is like braking too early, and that's and not giving all the gas when you need to. You don't have those problems in iRacing. If anything, you're on the gas too much and braking too late. So
Me too.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And it's a different setup, a different track, it's different feel, and
it's the sensation of speed that you miss. I think that changes it. So
that's why I think that comparing the two, I don't feel like I compared the two right now. There are plenty, like I said, there's plenty of people that do better when they're in the race car and they're in iRacing, and then they get in a race car and they're like, oh yeah, it translates. But I don't do enough of those equally right now. I don't do enough iRacing for it to be fixing the problems I have in a race car, and I haven't been in a race car in like a year. So it's one of those like it's not
getting close to a year, isn't it? At this point,
it feels like it anyway, or at least in October. I guess we were in cars, but still, it's a long time anyway.
Yeah. Well, we've got the July NASA event still on. I actually got an email about that today that they're doing. It's all lead follow instruction. So, but I have to go to a half-day class to learn how to do that in their way. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but you can have me as or they don't do that. You can have me as a person.
In car? I probably could. Yeah, I probably could. We can ask.
I've gotten some NASA emails, and they're saying family members are allowed to be in the same car.
Woot.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Absolutely. Well, we'll figure that out as we go.
Nice.
So I would say that one element that a lot of this is missing, and Chrissy was right there, is I think you're going to see a little more of when it ebbs and flows, you're going to see the more hardcore people using it as a training aid, as a training tool. And it can be an absolutely completely separate endeavor, iRacing versus real racing. But my whole motivation behind getting into it was to try and get skills that I could translate on there. So I'm always trying to worry about where are my eyes, and I'm not even worried about trying to win, but I'm trying to reinforce the same habits that I need in the car about looking through the corners and manipulating the gas and that sort of thing. And I'll catch myself getting into competitive racing, but then just got to force myself back to, I really want to get the basic principles down. Chris, you said this back when we started this podcast, that how good can you be at something if you only do it 6 times a year? And I think there will be a core group of folks that will stay with this, but it is going to be a much smaller group. For a lot of people are just using this as a substitute, but I think some are going to discover the benefits of a training aid.
Well, I will agree with you there, because what the iRacing has brought to me so far, and I'm terrible at it, and we've said 1,000 times, I can't sense the speed, and I'm with Chrissy that I don't think I could be coached right now in an iRacing situation that would tell me anything in a real car. But I now know what like Road America looks like. And I now know what like Gingerman looks like. And I really feel that I could get faster on day one if I ever go to these tracks, because I now know what the track looks like and maybe it's because I'm a visual learner, or maybe because but track time, even if it's not in my car, even if it's in a virtual space, has really taught me where like the physical cues are and what the surface is like and where it goes left and where it goes right and what what's sharp and what isn't, and where you can screw up and where you can't. And so I'm going to say that there is definitely some training, even if you aren't an elite.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
There's no better way to
not
learn
elite.
track.
Not elite, just hardcore.
Hardcore, yeah.
Any level of skill. I suck, but I love doing this. And I've said this 1,000 times. My fitness routine, so much of my life is driven by I want to be better at racing. It's not working, but it makes me happy. Chrissy, because you are the most studious of all of us that learn tracks, how do you feel this would help you with your drawing of maps and watching of videos? Do you think iRacing could help you if you ever go to a new track?
It would reinforce it, but I don't think so. It's hard. I'm trying to think of a track that I haven't been on in real life, because most of them I have, and Lime Rock I've not been on in real life, so I can use that one as an example. I think my efforts to make track maps and watching track is different. It's slower. It's more methodical, more tedious, I suppose. So it would reinforce it. So if I'm, because I usually watch a bunch of videos, I stop it, I look at, I zoom in, I have pictures, I do that more on a slow scale. So once I've understood that, I think it's I almost think it's a different technique on how to learn a track. And really, like, I got into Lime Rock because I think Chris was going, that was the track of the night or something. So I got in and was doing, I think, Legends at Lime Rock. I didn't know where the track went. So, it's one of those learning left, right, where am I going? Oh, that's where that turn is, and understanding it, and still not really like comparing it to the actual track map. So that's a long answer. I think it's different. I think they're both good tools to learn a track, but I completely agree with Jeff. You absolutely understand nuances more so than you would in any other way. You can look at a flat map. You can watch video, but iRacing will absolutely give you that extra third dimensional, where am I going up? Here's where there may be a rumble strip. Here's, how hard you have to turn to get to get through this corner. You learn that in iRacing. So I completely agree with you.
I would spend, if I had 5 hours to spend researching a track, I would no longer go to YouTube. If it exists in iRacing, I would go iRace it.
Yeah, me too. First place.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was a hardcore YouTuber, but no, I'm with you on that one. Both of you guys. I'll go to iRacing first, and then like on the plane watch YouTube videos of the track that I'm driving to or flying to.
YouTube gives you no real idea of elevation change.
And if it does, the elevation change is crazy. It is very, very
if you can
abrupt or
see
something.
it's like New Hampshire going up the hill.
Or like Laguna Seca, you can see it in a video because all of a sudden I can't see the track.
Right. You're going straight down and I may have turned or something.
But the muscle memory and the butt pucker you do not get on a YouTube video.
Now, like the road Atlanta, the bridge, the downhill under the bridge, I had no clue what that was like the first time I went on it, even though I'd watched a bunch of videos.
Yep. Yeah.
Neither did I. That's why I ended up in the pits first
That's
time.
true. Yeah.
I was like, hey,
I remember when Steve and I did a track day there, and I'm like, hey man, the bridge, blah blah. And he's like, no man, I watched a lot of videos. I'm ready for the bridge. He pulls in. I was not ready for the bridge. I was not.
And I don't know what the turn is after the bridge.
12 is the one after the bridge. 11 is through the bridge.
Yeah, 12 is, to me, the hardest thing on that track. But
it just requires the most testicular fortitude.
Of course,
you're
but
going all the speed and need to keep your foot all the way down, and there's a wall right there.
But you didn't realize that watching a video. I feel that in iRacing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Anything left on this topic?
Give it a try. Just try stuff. If it makes it better, great. If it makes it worse, well, then you learn and go the other way. That's all.
It's like free track time. Doesn't cost you any money.
Yeah.
Oops.
It already costed you a lot of money, so you should probably just use it.
Yeah.
Depends on what your setup looks like.
Yeah.
No, seriously, it's for the kid. I swear.
Exactly.
To help with their
It's like-
schoolwork.
He's
Duh.
like, PlayStation VR. I'm like, don't you mean Oculus? Anyway, thank you for downloading us. By the way, hey, out there listeners, any feedback on the new icon for the show? In case you haven't seen it, go look at your phone. It should have updated.
Unless you have a Galaxy, then look on it next month. Maybe it'll update.
It will update, I promise. So thank you for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. We also hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, and building, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It's totally free. Then go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. Even if you hate us, give us 5 stars and tell us why. If you have any questions or show ideas, drop a comment on our Facebook page, Everyone Racers, or email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com, or just comment right on the YouTube. I'll check it out. Find us on Instagram or Twitter, everyone.racers. Thanks again, and until next week, keep the shiny side up. Unless there is no shiny side, then just keep those sexy wheels down.